What's up, guys? It's Kictor, and I asked in the chat who had a more delicious lunch than me, and I see Kate said that she also had butter chicken. Saikin says, I made Cuban sandwich sliders with Dijon aioli. Okay, that sounds pretty fucking good. Okay. Kenzie says, feeling a little low, but had a quesadilla for dinner. I do love quesadillas. Quesadillas. Have you ever, like, the laziest way to make a quesadilla is you can just put the tortilla after you fold it up in the toaster. Stitch showed me that. So good. Chicken fried rice. Ooh, nice. Very nice. Popcorn and Twizzlers. Hell yeah. That's girl dinner. Tomato soup. Ooh, and cheese croissants with it. Oh, nice. That sounds wonderful. Hell yeah. Okay. And Miss Rosie says, I had chicken with red sauce and pasta and a basic salad. Whew. Okay, now I hope everybody's feeling extra hungry right now. Oh, and Guy had bao buns. How fitting! How fitting. Kit Poe has entered the Banue arc and has been there for 5 months and says 5 months, yay! 4 months to go for birth. Oh, yes, almost born, almost born. Thank you for supporting me for 5 whole months. And Cat's Cows has entered the Banue arc and has been there for 2 whole years, 24 months. Oh my god, dude. Thank you so much. Cat's Cow says, I can't believe it's been 2 years. We'll enjoy lurking while I play the Pokemon ZA DLC. Oh, nice. Oh, that's awesome. How did you like the game? That is wicked. Thank you so much for supporting me as a member and just like as a person, you know, in the chat. Everything you've done has just been so awesome this year and for 2 years. So thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Feeling sappy and hungry in the club already. You know, I'm trying to be performative with my backwards hat here by like making a little flip come out, you know? But I think maybe. It's like you can look like you're bald very easily. Kenzie says, my next mission in Zelda is to accomplish Breath of the Wild. I'm almost to the fight with Ganon on Tears of the Kingdom, but I really want to get back to Breath of the Wild. Oh, nice! Yeah, I really liked Breath of the Wild. I haven't gotten very far in Tears of the Kingdom. I'm right at the beginning when you're like with Sidon, my life and love. But I loved Breath of the Wild. The Wicked Witch of the Asian said, don't worry, Kictor, you're gorgeous. Oh, thank you. That is too sweet of you to say. Ariane's Mill, Leon Prada, says, hi, Kictor. This is my first time joining one of your streams, and I'm super excited. It's 8 p.m. here in my country. What time is it in your country? It is 5 o'clock I'm in British Columbia, Canada. In Vancouver. Same time zone as, like, Los Angeles. Kenzie says, we love a side-on moment. I'm scared of wind blight, so I ran away. Nice. The Wizard of Moss says, I left an essay about weak hero class in the comments of your AO3 video. Oh, nice! Okay, I was like, really confused about them, so I'm excited to learn about that. I'm glad that you have experienced them. I'm trying to turn my brightness down. I feel like I can't see. Oh, there we go. Ellis Gray says, I wanted to announce that I finished Tgcf today. Oh my goodness, congrats! Finished Tgcf to go right back into it. Back into the Banue arc. Spark Major says, I saw Case File and the worms are attacking my brain. Like, wait, did you see... Wait, you saw what? What do you mean? I wrote the word Case File today and I was like, Case File Compendium! Rose City Kimono said, I just finished reading Silent Reading. Normally, murder mysteries aren't my thing, but this was so good. Next up is the White Cat's Divine Scratching Post. I was hanging out with some friends this weekend, and we watched a bunch of, like, clips from the Silent Reading live action, which I totally forgot that was a thing. And apparently they like released 8 episodes of it, and then China was like, this is too gay, and then Japan picked it up and then released the rest of it. Oh, Spark Major says, someone mentioned it. It's so soon, I'm not well. When is it? Oh shit, it's in February, isn't it? Is it right at the beginning of February? Is it on Valentine's Day? Oh my god, I need to make the fucking Case File video. Levza says, I just picked up Silent Reading today, but I'm reading The Wife Comes First. Ah, as you should. The wife does come first, huh? It's the end of January, actually. What? That's like fucking tomorrow! Oh my god. Oh my god! Oh my god, that's so exciting. What the fuck is gonna happen next, hey? That's crazy. Horror Girl is asking for some good vibes. You're back in school and nervous about this semester. I will send you so many good vibes, Horror Girl. You are awesome. And I'm giving you all the good vibes, all the good waves, and everything will be okay. The wave comes first. Yes. Yes, indeed. Kate says the Case File 6 book club is gonna nuts. Yes, it is gonna nuts, isn't it? Steph says angst and tears. No! Oh, God. Oh, I know it's gonna be so upsetting, isn't it? Oh, well. Oh, Shay Ching Chung, I know he's just gonna hurt us so bad, isn't he? Esper Lady says, oh my god, someone in my BL book club wrecked Case File for us to read. We just read volume 1 of Thousand Autumns. I told them what you said, Kate, that you would like Case File if you like Yan Wuxi. Nice, very nice. Kit Po says, I'm not sure if I should draw He Xuan or Shi Qing Xuan while this stream today. Both have been started already. He Xuan all the way. Draw my boyfriend. Kate says, can I get a good vibe? I'm still upset over that Etsy thing. Yeah! Oh my gosh. Kate, I think, got a 3-star review on her Etsy account after going over and above to fix a mistake that the purchaser made, and then even sent them some extra bonuses and stuff, and then the person still only gave a 3-star review. And it's like, on a small business, when you don't have a ton of reviews yet, that can like really affect it. So that super fucking sucks. And just something to keep in mind when you are ordering from like small businesses and like within the community and stuff, that like a review like that can really hurt a business. So I hope everybody's being extra kind to one another. Have you heard of Thrice Married to a Salted Fish? Yes, we have the first volume. I just saw, I think the 3rd volume cover just came out. 7 Seas sometimes releases covers so far in advance. I'm like, well, I don't remember what the 2nd volume cover looks like. You can call me Ariana for short. All right, Ariana, I got it. And Kate says, it's honestly really dumb, but it made me so mad. Don't worry. Yeah, I totally understand that. Don't worry, you've got lots of people in the chat backing you up. But yeah, that's so upsetting, Kate. I will send you all of the good vibes. The good vibes and 5-star reviews only for you, Kate. Spark Major says, second cover is super cute. They're being very cute and domestic. Oh, okay. We love that. It's very cute, very domestic. Earlier today, my family came over for a surprise visit, and they always want to see, like, upstairs, and they always want to, like, see my office and stuff, and it's just so funny when, like, that, like, they'll just, like, glance over things, just be like, oh, like, yeah, what's that? That's nice, you know? Like, it's just so... It's just so funny, especially when older adults see anime and they just do not give a shit. It's just like, wow, that's a lot of things. It's like, this is actually my room that I've crafted perfectly to have all of my little guys in the perfect little cubes and all my figures that mean so much to me, and don't touch anything. Blonde Fox says, I like your room, Kictor. Thank you, Blonde Fox. Thank you. CSCL, thank you for donating. You said, recap. Okay, are you ready? Sun Long makes a door. Empty shell spreads ghost stories of Banyue Pass. Ling Wen knows nothing, but Shalian still wants to investigate. Nanfeng and Fuyao crash the road trip. Yes. Yes. We are entering the Banyue arc for realsies now. Oh, with an unlikely group of friends, eh? Spark Major says, better than them being too invested and asking too many questions. Yeah. Wait, are they both girls? As they were leaving, though, my dad was totally just joking, and he makes jokes like this all the time with us. He was like, oh, you and Stitch are wearing the same... I was wearing a blue shirt earlier. He's like, you and Stitch are wearing the same colored shirt. You guys are so gay. It's like, yes, Dad. We're pretty gay. We're getting married in 2 months. Wizard of Moss says, the fact that a Gojo shelf has ever existed makes you an expert in interior decorating. Thank you. I have a shelf over here you guys can't see that is becoming my case file shelf. I have the really nice case file stuff that Emma just got me displayed up there. L is gray. Ellis Gray says, fellas, is it gay to match colors? It is. It's gay to match colors, and it's gay to wear different colors, actually. Yeah. Kate says, I saw Bottom Ghetto earlier today, and I thought about you. Ah! No! Let Coach O bottom! Oh. Kate says, no need to fight anybody, but thanks, everyone. Aw, thank you for donating, Kate. I hope everything is all positive after this. Amy donated, thank you, Amy, and said, what do you think Hualian's Chinese zodiacs are for the Lunar New Year? Oh my gosh, I have no idea. Does anyone who is, like, more educated on the subject have an idea? What's up, Jay? Wizard of Moss says, I need to set up a case file shrine, right? Sparkbreaker says, I want a case file shelf. Steph says, I put my case file next to Tgcf. It's giving atomic bomb versus coughing baby. That's great. Oh my god. That's great. Kenzie says, Mr. Kichter slays the house down. Yes. Rose City says, your room has been my inspiration for decorating my living room. Oh, hell yeah. I can't, like, right here, I'm going to cover this all with posters. I got to cover it with some of Kate's art, too. Because we're talking about Kate so much this stream already. I love, like, purple and blue, and some of her art will just go so perfectly right there. But then also, you can't quite see it transitions into red. So, don't worry. Don't worry. We're making moves. Visual J has been a member for 10 months and says, I'm green again. Yay! Oh, thank you so much, Jay. I've seen you in the chat every stream, though. Even though not green. But thank you so much. And Briarbox says, I'm figuring out what scripts I can write while I'm at work and going back to school. I'm trying to balance that and seeing what videos I can make in the coming months. Merch tour, anyone? Yeah, dude. I love seeing what merch people have. And I also love hearing what people have to say about their own merch and, like, why they like it, you know, instead of it just being like, and here's Lamonji. It's like, and here's Lamonji from this specific scene, and the way his eyes look askance at Wei Wuxian just evokes the butterflies, you know, that are swirling within him despite his stoic face. And you know, Sparkraider says, you're making a fucking art gradient across your wall. That's so cool. Yeah, actually, Stitch is so cool. The way she, I guess you can't see anymore. The way she did all of that art there goes even higher. She arranged them to be kind of like blue and then purple and then red. She's a genius. She decorates everything so beautifully. My contribution to the decoration has been my Phoenix Wright bathroom and my Nintendo shelf in the living room. But I gave her all of my Danmei stuff and was like, just combine it with all of your Danmei stuff and make it look beautiful, please. Not Prepared Cause has been in the Banyue arc for a whole year. Oh my god, someone come and rescue them. Thank you so much for being a member for a whole year. Time passes so fast. A New Year's goal of mine is to finally cosplay Hushwan at the fish hatchery I work at. Oh my god, that is amazing. I know it'll make a killer photo shoot. That is so good. How could you pass up that opportunity? That is amazing. Absolutely. Oh my god, hell yeah. At the fish hatchery? Oh, that's amazing. Dude, I cannot wait to see those photos. That will be amazing. And thank you so much for supporting me for a whole year. Thank you. Steph has been a member for 11 months and says, I mostly watch the work at streams, but hi. Hey, Steph. Happy to see you here. Visual J says, I think I'm a metal snake, which sounds pretty metal. Wait, how do you find out what your Chinese zodiac is? Wait, how do you... Is it like an element and then an animal? Wait, how much information do you need to know to find out what it is? Brayley says, I want to sell prints of my art or something one day. So much work, though. Yeah, you should talk to Kate about that. But, dude, if you sold your art, I'd definitely buy it. Your art's amazing. You just need to know the year you're born? Oh, 1996. What? Earth? What are the different, like, can you be like a wind horse? Fire dog? Can you be a fire dragon? 1996 is rat. Yes, but what's the word before rat? Elements are 5 years. What element rat am I? Fire rat? Oh man. What's the thing about the rat? What did the rat do? Or like, what are rats supposed to be like? Air rat. Rat brothers! My rat brothers. Your elemental symbol is the rat brother bestie. Kenzie. That's so funny. Oh my god. You're telling me people out there are metal snake and I'm fucking fire rat? At the very least, fire is like the coolest element to be. I'm glad I'm not like wind ox. Not to shit on any wind oxes. You're telling me gold dragon was an option? Oh my god. Fire rat. Wood is one too? Oh my god. Fire rat is what Inuyasha's robe is named after. Oh my god, I am Inuyasha. Hell yeah. Kenzie says I'm a wood pig. Oh my god. Incredible. Water. How do you find the elemental sign? There's no way it's every 5 years, because I know some of you people are within 5 years of me. How do you find your Chinese elemental sign? The last digit of your birth year to determine the element. Metal is 1, water... Oh, metal is 0, 1, water is 2 and 3, wood is 4 and 5, fire is 6 and 7, earth is 8 and 9. That's how it is. Okay, so yeah, fire rat it is. Okay, what does being a fire rat mean? Okay. It means I was either born in the year I could have been born in the year 1936. Oh, okay. Fire rats are intelligent and quick thinking, like all rats. They are sharp and resourceful. Energetic and assertive, like I am being right now. It says the fire element adds a fiery, bold, and flamboyant streak, making them natural leaders or attention seekers. Tell me I'm pretty. Impulsive. They can leap into situations quickly, sometimes without thinking, leading into trouble. Oh, maybe I've been there a few times. Hardworking. They are diligent and driven to achieve their goals. Direct speech. Can be blunt, potentially offending people unintentionally. I don't think I'm blunt. I think I beat around the bush. Generous and loyal. Despite their fiery nature, they are often kind to friends. Needs balance. They struggle with settling down and need to learn to relax and think things through. to avoid emotional burnout. I don't really have an issue with that. I'll just listen to the first part that was like, wow, you're so intelligent. We're the rats. We're the fire rats. Orion's belt says, see, fire rat is kind of cool. Wait, what is Stitch? So she's ox, and it's 7, which is fire as well. We're both fire! Hell yeah! Fire ox and fire rat. Levsa says, I'm blunt, but that's due to my autism, not my fire ratness. What came first, the fire ratness or the autism? Oh my god. Meridia says, do you like the Dragon GX Foxian Wangshin AU trope? Yes, I do. Lamonji as a dragon is so fucking cool. I think dragons are so cool, man. Dragons are so cool. Kenzie says, if only we were fire rats together. Kenzie, if we were both fire rats together, it would be too powerful. One of us has to be the Pope. Oh my gosh. CSCL says, does anyone else struggle with never liking their zodiac signs? Dude, Stitch is like never aligns with anything that is like true about her. Metal Snake. Isn't that Solid Snake from Metal Gear? Briarbox says, I have lots to say about my merch. Lufeng wearing a skirt and the not at much as you comical amount of Gojo I have. Yes. And the fact that we share a lovely statue. Yeah, absolutely. You should mention all those things. Make a video and mention it. Tiercella has been a member for 2 months. Thank you so much. And says, I'm a fire ox. Hell yeah, you're the same as Stitch. And Miss Rosie has been a member for 14 months and says, I'm a wood dog. 14 months. Woo! Multitasking by texting while doing Pilates. Oh, nice! But had to add in, LOL, hope everyone is having a great night tonight. Hey, I hope you're enjoying Pilates. When I did Pilates last time, I fucked up my shoulder. Pilates is fucking hard. It's so hard. I bet you're strong as hell, Miss Rosie, so enjoy. And thank you so much for being a member for 14 months. Oh my goodness. Neko Me, thank you for donating. Says, I found a chart with both year and element put on the community tab. Oh, thank you. There you go. Okay, if you want to find out yours, check out the chat. Bear Wants to Eat Fish says, I was able to finish my chapter of my novel the other day. Thanks for your motivation a few streams ago. Dude, that's wicked. Oh my god, congrats. That is awesome. Like, oh, that's so much work. Writing is so much work. So I'm always here to motivate if anybody needs motivation for writing or drawing or just doing some sort of fun creative pursuit. I will be here cheering you on and be like, do it, you can do it. So I love to hear that. Absolutely love to hear that. Brayley says, I'm a Gemini and so is Hua Chung. Nice, very nice. Kenzie says, God wanted me to wood pig so you can be a fire rat. The universe knows I was meant to be a powerful wood cultivator. Yes. Okay, well now we have to look up how compatible is a fire rat and a fire ox. Oh! Excellent compatibility. Look at this. Excellent. Similar life goals and complementary personalities, but the fire element adds intensity, demanding mutual growth, where the rat brings innovation and the ox provides stability. Aww. It's like I'm the YouTuber and Stitch is the one taking care of me. Though they must manage the rat's cunning and the ox's stubbornness to avoid conflict. The rat offers flexibility while the ox teaches patience, creating a strong, grounded partnership if differences are respected. Okay. You know, I would agree with that. Anyone Who doesn't remember, I think it was a members only stream where we did like Stitch and I's astrology chart, and it was like, you are not compatible at all. So I like to hear that, at least in the Chinese zodiac, we are very compatible. We are very compatible in Chinese. In the star chart said Stitch was abusing me and holding me back. Oh my gosh. Cunning and stubborn actually fits you very well. Oh, am I so very cunning after you guys learned all about Trickter? Trickter is my Kahoot persona. This last month I bought a Kahoot membership, so all of our Danmei game nights have become Kahoot trivia Danmei nights. And I made the last Heaven Official's Blessing trivia quiz I did. I added so many little tricks in it, and so instead of Kickter, I was Trickter. I tricked so many people. It was very good. Brayley says, confirmed Kickter Omega that stream. I'm not sitting in the chair. Cunning and stubborn. You really are, Bingha. Spark Major says, I can respect Trickter's game. Thank you. Thank you. Esper Lady just wrote perfect sun. I know, that one was good. It was actually so cute. Speaking of delicious food, I've never had clam chowder before. Yesterday, hung out with Ray and Cass and Amy, my like local Danmei group, and we went and got clam chowder, and it was like the most pouring rain day ever. And getting clam chowder on a rainy day, fucking peak, dude. It was so fucking good. And we got salt and vinegar fries, and it was just so good. We were talking about Heaven Official's Blessing, and I was like, I actually have a Kahoot. So we played the trivia game, and after we finished our chowder and got bubble tea, it was a lovely little outing. We love a little casual chowder and Heaven Official's Blessing quiz. Have you checked if your wedding is on an auspicious date? Oh God, what does that mean? I feel like it like in a Chinese way. I'm afraid to look. Don't tell me if it's something weird. It is on my favorite number of a day though, so it feels good. Lunar Sky says my brother loves clam chowder. It was New England chowder. I've never had any chowder before, so I'm not sure how Manhattan does it. Visual J says clam chowder and bubble tea would make my stomach hurt. I'm so sorry for your loss. It was a wonderful evening. I mean, we were there for a while. Kenzie says, Victoria, you live in the Northwest and never had chowder? Right? I know, isn't that funny? I feel like chowder is more of an American thing. Manhattan is tomato-based. Oh, interesting. Yeah, it was definitely like white and creamy. Cat's Cow says, you're now welcome in New England. I make a mean haddock chowder. Ooh. I mean, it's just fucking cream, isn't it, really? Cream with some clams. Dre Hop has entered the Banyue Arc. Thank you so much for joining my membership. Thank you so much. Oh, you know what else I had the other day? Oh my god, it was so fucking good. I've never had this before. I haven't tried a ton of Korean food. I cannot pronounce this. But this. Oh my fucking god. I think this might have been one of the most delicious flavors I've ever had in my life. We got this, and then we got a bunch of other like Hong Kong style food, and it was like pasta, and I was just like taking the sauce from the Korean food and just putting it on all of the pasta. It was so good. Dilumi, hey, thank you so much for donating. Thank you so much. Dilumi says, hi, here's a little late, but at least I didn't miss much. I'm getting close to finishing the main story of Arha, I think. Ooh, I'm so hyped. Should I go straight from Arha to Yuu, or should I read something less angsty first? Oh, good question. I didn't read Yuu myself. I only heard it from Stitch. Maybe you could take a break with something lighter in between. Have you read Little Mushroom? Because, like, you could read, like, a shorter Danmei in between, because Yuu is also very long. You say it like Teboki? Is it Teboki? So fucking good. I really, really liked it. Kate says, I did not have that today. I had that on Saturday. Today I made avocado toast and an egg. You get sourdough, toast that, cook an egg on the frying pan, a little salt, a little pepper, avocado. Here's the special secret is to put a little lemon juice on the avocado, and then sourdough, avocado, egg. So good. So good. Levsa says, not you calling Little Mushroom the post-apocalyptic dystopia less angsty. I would say it's a different type of angst, at least. Oh, Briarbox. Message me on Instagram about that. That is so kind of you to want to offer that. You guys are you're just so sweet. Anybody who just wants to do anything for our wedding is just makes me so, I feel so overjoyed, especially since we're not getting fucking a lot of acceptance from our family members and stuff like that. So I just really appreciate you guys even just bringing up our wedding. It's so lovely. Visual J says, I'm Hispanic. The idea of lemon on avocado instead of lime makes my soul hurt. It shouldn't, though. You should just try it, man. It's so good. I love lime. I love lime and I love lemon. And personally, between the two, I've been finding I've enjoyed the lemon one more. It just adds a little, like, extra kick. Like, I fucking love lime. I love lime soda a lot. Kate says, I will be celebrating your wedding day so damn hard to make up for it. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Everybody's adopted. I've all adopted you and you've all adopted me. Do you need some cousins to come and be supportive? Because we could help you. Yeah, honestly. Briarbox says, you don't even know your wedding present from me. You're gonna love it so much. Aw, you guys are so sweet. We are all Kictor's uncles now. Yes, you are! Jinling's uncle. Kictor's uncle. Ariana says, is it true that you have the Bingha and Shenjingqiu mini dolls? I've never seen them in your shelf. Yeah, we have them, but I haven't dressed them, I don't think, yet. I'm pretty sure I have a naked Bingha in a bag. Because ever since I've loved Scum Villain, I wanted to make, I think, yeah, that one, a Scum Villain shrine. So I'm still working on it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a little naked Bingha in my house. Adopted? Didn't you birth us all? Oh, yeah, you're right. Lebza says, have all the dolls been lost in the endless abyss? Kate says, if I were richer and not scared to travel alone, I would fly to Vancouver for your wedding if you wanted me to. Oh my god, that is so, you are so sweet, Kate. Oh my god, thank you so much. I wish I could invite everybody to the wedding. Unfortunately, feeding people is so expensive. Oh my god. Sparkmater says, he's right where he wants to be. Kictor is the fish and we're all the fish children. Oh my god. Hey, bye, Xavian! Is it the actual mini doll or the other mini doll not made by Mini Doll? I think it's the actual mini doll. I can't remember. I will find his naked ass. I will definitely post, I'll post we have a wedding videographer, so I'll definitely post like our wedding video. Braylee says, remember when we went through a phase of calling you and Stitch mommy? The fuck were we on? You earned that. Cherry says, as a trans person who can't access gender affirming care and don't have a strong queer community around me, I really appreciate you and your channel's community. Dude, hell yeah, Cherry. Everybody give Cherry a big hug. You are so accepted and loved here in this community. This is such an incredibly positive and accepting place. It's really, I'm just so proud of everybody in this chat. And you guys make me feel so good, and I hope that I can make you guys feel good too. Kate says, I think I was the one to blame for the mommy thing. It's okay because you are yourself a mom, so it makes it less strange. Aw, Maison says, it means 100 years of harmonious union. It's a wedding blessing and you deserve it. Thank you so much. That's so sweet of you. Kate says, I also never called Stitch or kicked her mommy though, so I'm the normal one here. Oh my gosh. Well, enough of that. Let's get to the reading. Chapter 8. Okay, it's Gaga time. Okay, everybody lock in! Gaga's in the chat. Put a Gaga and a funny emoji. The funniest emoji you can muster. I want to laugh. Give me the funniest emoji combo you can muster. I'm talking eggplant. I'm talking fist. I'm talking water spurt. Bye, Briarbox! Okay. Shortened distance adrift in sandstorms. Even though it's rogue records and rumors you read, the kingdom of Benue certainly existed, Shalian explained. Oh? Sanlong said. That's a weird sentence. Even though it's rogue records and rumors you read? I guess, okay, so the last sentence was him basically being like, this is just based on unofficial... Oh, you read! Man, I read. Even though it's rogue records and rumors you read, the kingdom of Benue certainly existed, Shalian explained. Oh? Sanlong said. Just then, Nanfeng completed an interweaving array on the ground and called out to the others in the room. It's done. When shall we go? Shalian quickly packed a small bag and came to the door. Let's go now. He placed his hand on the door and recited, by the heaven official's blessing, no paths are bound. He said it. Then he pushed gently. When the door was pushed open, it was no longer a small hillside village outside. What replaced it was a wide city avenue. As wide as the streets were, there was barely anyone on the road, maybe one or two pedestrians every now and then. This wasn't only because it was late in the evening, but because the population in the far northwest was already small, on top of being this close to the Gobi. Even in broad daylight, there wouldn't be many walking about. Shalian closed the door behind him, and it was no longer Poochie Shrine on the inside, but a small inn. That one step certainly was thousands of miles, the miracle of a teleportation array. A couple of pedestrians walked by, grumbling as they stared at them, appearing quite guarded. Sanlong spoke up from behind Shalian. According to historical records, when the moon sinks in the sky, follow the North Star and you will come upon the kingdom of Benue. Gaga, look. Sanlong pointed to the sky. There's the North Star. Shalian looked up and smiled. It's so bright. Sanlong stepped closer to stand beside Shalian. He cast a glance at him, then looked up too. Yeah, it seems the night sky in the northwest is somehow more uplifting than in the central plains. He's like, wow, it's so bright. And he was like, yeah, I know you are. I mean, I know the sky is. Shalian agreed, and the two became immersed in a serious discussion on stars and the night sky. Meanwhile, the two junior officials behind them watched in disbelief. Nanfeng questioned, why is he here too? The door you created looked so magical, I followed along to check it out, Sanlong replied innocently. Check it out? Do you think this is a fun tour? Nanfeng shouted angrily. Shalian rubbed his forehead and said, let it go. Since he's here, he's here. He won't eat your rations. I should have enough. Sanlong, stay close to me. Don't get lost. Okay, Sanlong responded, looking obedient and good. Looking obedient and good. This isn't a question of rations. Shalian sighed. Nanfeng, please keep it down. It's the middle of the night. Everyone is sleeping. Let's just focus on the task at hand and stop sweating the small stuff. Let's go. Let's go. The four followed the North Star and traveled northward. After walking non-stop for an entire night, the towns and greenery along the way became more and more sparse, and the ground slowly gave way to sand. Finally, they reached the Gobi Desert. Although the teleportation array could cross over 500 kilometers in one step, it used an exhaustive amount of spiritual power. The farther one went, the more spiritual power it zapped, and the time it took to restore that spiritual power also lengthened. This one step Nanfeng helped them take would require at least several hours to recover from. To conserve enough strength in case of an unforeseen battle, Shalian decided not to have Fuyao perform the same conjuring. For a journey such as this, someone must have their spiritual powers at full strength. It's so funny that they're saying all this with, like, literally walking with Huacheng. In a desert climate, the difference between night and day was extreme. The nights were freezing to the bone, but not too bad. However, when it became day, it was another story. The sky was clear and cloudless, giving way to a scorching sun. It was as if they were walking in a steaming oven, cooking them alive from the ground. Shalian led the way, using the direction of the wind and small vegetation growing under rocks to find their path. After a while, he looked back, worried that someone may not be able to keep up. Nanfeng and Fuyao were obviously fine, being immortal and all. Seeing Sanlong, though, made him laugh. Under the blazing sun, the youth had peeled off his outer red tunic and was using it to lazily block the sun, looking tired and cranky. His skin was pearl white, his hair coal black, and with the red tunic covering his face, his features seemed even more accentuated. Oh my goodness. Oh, Shalian, you're checking out the youth again. Shalian removed his bamboo hat and put it on Sanlong's head. Here, I'll lend it to you. Sanlong blinked. Then a moment later, he smiled. It's all right, he said, and returned the hat to him. Shalian didn't argue. If the boy didn't need it, there was no need to push. Let me know if you need it then. Shalian straightened the hat on his head and continued walking. Sanlong just being like, Kaka has given this one a gift. But I cannot accept it. I cannot accept it. After a while, the group noticed a small gray building in the midst of all the sand. Upon closer inspection, it appeared to be an abandoned inn. Shalian looked to the sky and saw that it was just past noon, and time for the worst of the heat. They had walked all night. It was time for a break. Shalian led the group inside, and they found a table to sit and settle at. Shalian took out a water bottle from his bag and handed it to Sanlong. Do you want some? Sanlong nodded. He reached for the water bottle and drank from it, before Shalian took it back to drink himself. Indirect kiss. He gulped down the water, his Adam's apple rolling up and down as he drank. He felt the coolness pass down his throat, incredibly refreshing. Next to him, Sanlong had his arm propping up his chin, stealing glances as Shalian drank. Oh my god! Oh my god, it's so shameless already! A moment later, he asked, Is there any more? Shalian wiped away the bit of water that was caught on his moistened lips, then nodded and passed over the water bottle again. He's like, I need to get my lips on that. Sanlong was about to reach for it when another hand blocked him from the water bottle in Shalian's grip. Hang on, Fuyao said. He retrieved his own water bottle from his sack and put it on the table, pushing it towards Sanlong. I have one too. Go ahead. Shalian immediately knew what he was planning. Knowing Fuyao's personality, there was no way he would ever share his water bottle. He and Nanfeng had talked about testing Sanlong the night before, so the liquid in the bottle must be unmasking water. If a normal human was to drink a potion such as this, nothing would happen. However, if they were anything but human, the unmasking water would force its drinker to reveal their true form. Since Nanfeng and Fu Yao wanted to test to see if this youth was supreme, the effects of the potion had to be considerate. Oh, sorry. I know how to read. Since Nanfeng and Fu Yao wanted to test to see if this youth was a supreme, the effects of the potion had to be considerable. Sanlong smiled. Gaga and I can share one bottle. It's fine. Fu Yao and Nanfeng eyed Shalian, and he thought, what are you both looking at me for? Fu Yao said coldly, his is almost empty. Don't worry. Help yourself. Really? Then you two go ahead first, Sanlong said, politely declining. ... Those two both fell silent. A moment later, Fu Yao tried again. You're a guest. You go first. Fu Yao sounded polite and well-mannered, but Shalian thought he must have squeezed those words between his teeth. Sanlong also made a please gesture. You two are followers of the host. Please drink first. Otherwise, it'd be indecent of me. Shalian watched the three of them play this silly game of false pleasantries and pitied the sad water bottle being roughly pushed around the table with barely hidden force. He shook his head. He could feel the poor table tremble from their power play and feared it might not have long to live. The secret battle went back and forth for several rounds when finally Fu Yao snapped and sneered, You not accepting this water means you have a guilty conscience! Sanlong replied with a smile. You're unfriendly and refuse to drink first. Who knows if you've poisoned the water? Maybe you're the one with the guilty conscience. Fu Yao pointed at Shalian. You can very well ask him whether this water is poisoned. Is this water poisoned, Gaga? Sanlong turned to Shalian. It was quite the cunning question. Technically, unmasking water was a potion that exposed one's true form and didn't harm real people. Shalian replied slowly. It's not poisoned, but... Fu Yao and Nanfeng focused their glare on Sanlong, and he surprisingly let go of his grip on the bottle. All right, Sanlong grabbed the bottle and shook it playfully in his hand. If Gaga says it's okay, I'll take a drink. He gulped down the contents of the bottle in one go. Shalian didn't think he'd be so straightforward and was shocked. Nanfeng and Fu Yao were stunned too and tensed immediately. Yet who knew, after Sanlong drank all that unmasking water, he shook the bottle again, then threw it over his shoulder where it crashed and shattered. Tastes bad. I love it. I like how they put a considerable amount of like the potion in there because they're looking to unmask a supreme, and it still wasn't enough. He's so fucking powerful. This isn't Gaga water. Ew. Bewilderment flashed across Fu Yao's face when he saw that the unmasking water did nothing to Sanlong. A moment later, he replied coolly, It's only water. Doesn't all water taste the same? What difference is there? Sanlong reached for the water bottle next to Shalian's elbow again and replied, Of course it's different. This one tastes much better. Shalian smiled despite himself. Sanlong really didn't care about any challenges being thrown his way, nor did he care about his true identity. So other than entertainment, this fight was meaningless. Shalian thought that would be the end of it, but Nanfeng stood up and dropped a sword onto the table with a loud clang. With such a strong battle aura surrounding him, at first Shalian thought Nanfeng intended to end Sanlong for good. It left him speechless for a moment. What are you doing? The road ahead is dangerous, Nanfeng stated darkly. This is my gift to our little buddy, for self-defense. The sheath on the sword was ancient in design and bore wear and tear from the passing of ages. It was no ordinary sword. Shalian's eyes widened in recognition, and he put his hand over his forehead and turned away. Oh my god, he's literally fucking cringing. He muttered to himself, It's Hongjing. The name of the sword was indeed Hongjing, meaning red mirror. It was a sacred sword. While it could not fight evil, no evil could escape its spiritual mirror. Should any non-human entities pull it from its sheath, the blade would turn red as if covered in blood, and the crimson blade would reflect the true form of that which unsheathed it. Whether wrath or supreme, none could escape. There were no young men who would not be interested in swords or horses, so Sanlong appeared rather intrigued. Oh, let me see. Sheath in one hand, hilt in the other, Sanlong pulled at the sword. Nanfeng and Fu Yao stared intently, but when merely 8 centimeters of the sword was pulled out, Sanlong laughed. Gaga, are your servants playing a joke on me? Shalian cleared his throat and turned back around. Sanlong, I already told you they're not servants. Then he spun back. Who's joking around with you? Nanfeng demanded coldly. How can one defend oneself with a broken sword? Sanlong sheathed the sword and threw it back onto the table. Nanfeng's face froze for a moment, then he immediately picked up the sword to check. He pulled it from the sheath and heard a clunk, and suddenly in his hand was now a sharp and chilling, broken sword. Hong Jun's blade was broken 8 centimeters down. Nanfeng's face changed colors, and he turned the sheath upside down. There was a clattering sound of a mess of clinks and clanks. What was left of the blade within the sheath was now broken into bright, sharp little fragments. The Hongjing sword was a powerful weapon that could expose its enemies. That wasn't a lie. But Nanfeng never heard of any technique that could break it from within the sheath. Nanfeng and Fu Yao both pointed at Sanlong and cried, "You!" Sanlong snickered and leaned back in his chair, putting his black booted feet up on the table. There's a picture. Look at them. Look at their eyes. It's like, hey, this shit's broken. Kate says, no spoilers, but if you know what happens in the flashback, that's actually so sad. I don't remember. Can you give me a hint, Kate? He tossed one of the broken pieces in his hand in the air to play with it. I'm sure you guys didn't do this on purpose and just weren't careful enough with it on the road. Don't worry about me. I don't need some broken sword as protection. Keep it for yourselves. I think that Hua Cheng broke it himself just now. As for Shelian, he simply couldn't look at Hongjing directly. The sacred sword used to be a part of Jun Wu's collection. During his first ascension, Shelian once visited Jun Wu's palace and thought that, despite its lack of combat power, Hongjing was an interesting sword, so Jun Wu gifted it to him. Oh! After the first banishment, there was a time when things had gotten really hard, and Shelian gave the sword to Feng Xin to be pawned. That's right, pawned! The money made from pawning Hongjing was enough to fill their stomachs for a few meals. Shelian had pawned off too many treasures during that time, and he had forced himself to forget every single one of them, lest his heart bleed with regret. Feng Xin remembered the sword after his ascension and couldn't bear having a sacred object lost among mortals, so he managed to find it again. It was sharpened, cleaned, and hung in the palace of Nanyang. Now it had been brought down by Nanfeng. In any case, whatever Shelian saw that sword, his head would faintly ache, so he could only look away. Well, now it's broken, so he doesn't need to feel bad anymore. Also, think about how, or maybe don't think about how Shelian is so cute when it comes to swords that people can't help but like want to gift him things, like Hua Cheng gifting him stuff and Jun Wu gifting him this sword just because he like liked it so much. He could sense that the other three were about to start bickering again and shook his head. Instead, he carefully observed the weather outside. The wind was picking up, Shelian noted. There might be a sandstorm later. If they continued on their way, would they be able to find shelter? Just then, over the golden sand, 2 shadows suddenly flashed by. Shelian straightened up immediately. 2 silhouettes, one black, one white, sauntered unhurriedly but rapidly, as if they were gliding through on clouds. It's Beef Leaf! Beef Leaf in the chat! The one dressed in black was slender and elegant. The one dressed in white, on the other hand, was a female cultivator with a sword on her back and a whisk in hand. As they sped by the abandoned inn, the black figure didn't look back once, but the white figure glanced over and smiled. That smile was like their forms, gone in a flash, but leaving a forebodingly strange feeling. It was only because Shelian had been keeping an eye on the outside that he caught that scene, but the other 3 probably only saw their retreating backs. Nanfeng rose instantly. Who was that? Quinn, thank you for donating. My queen! My queen! Shalian stood up. Don't know, but they're definitely not ordinary people. After a moment's deliberation, he said, The wind is picking up. Stop playing around, and let's go as far as we can. We know why the wind is picking up. Oh my god, I love her. The one dressed in black was slender and elegant, but not noted as a woman. Interesting. When did he become a woman? Although the bickering trio constantly argued, they had nevertheless steeled their hearts to do what they came here to do, so they immediately stopped butting heads and cleaned up the pieces of Hong Jing before heading out the door. The four of them continued their trek, now against a blowing headwind. They walked for another 4 hours, wind howling in their ears, but the progress they made was nothing compared to the distance they were able to cover earlier in the day. The whipping gusts drew stronger, and the wind whipping the sand battered their faces and bodies, beating at any uncovered skin. The more they advanced, the more difficult it became. Gusts became deafening gales, and whirling sand filled the air around them, obscuring their path. Shalian, holding his bamboo hat down, called out, "This sudden sandstorm feels strange." No one answered him, and Shalian looked back, afraid that someone might be lost. But all three were present and following, just no one had heard him. The gales were so strong that his voice was swallowed up. He wasn't particularly worried about Nanfeng and Fu Yao. Even with crazed winds whipping by, the two walked steadily, full of killing intent. San Long, on the other hand, followed closely behind Shalian, never more than 5 steps away. Aww. Even with so much sand blowing and thrashing about, San Long remained calm and collected, hands clasped behind him as he walked. His red tunic and black hair danced wildly in the wind, as if he hadn't any care in the world. Shalian could feel how hard the sand was hitting his face and was worried by how little San Long seemed to mind. He opened his mouth to tell the youth to watch out for the sand getting in his eyes and sleeves, but figured he wouldn't hear anything he'd say, so Shalian reached over directly to help fold in his sleeves, patting them down to make sure no sand would get in. Oh, he's like, him going back and tucking in his little sleeveys. Oh my god. He's already so worried about him. Yes, here's the picture on 231. He's so cute. Oh my god. Oh, his little baby. He's like, oh, the sand whipping his face probably hurts so bad. San Long was taken aback by the sudden gesture. The other two behind them approached, and with everyone in better hearing range, Shalian tried talking again. Be careful, everyone. This wind came out of nowhere. It's not right. There may be evil within. The next time there's a windstorm, that's what I will say. It's just a little sandstorm. How evil can it be? Fu Yao said. Shalian shook his head. The wind is all right. It's what the sand might carry that I'm worried about. Just then, a powerful gust whipped by, blowing off Shalian's bamboo hat. It flew off, so it would disappear into the desert. It flew off. If it flew off, it would disappear into the desert forever. But San Long reacted immediately and grabbed the hat just in time with an abnormally fast hand. He returned the bamboo hat to Shalian once more, and Shalian thanked him. As he retied the hat onto his head, he said, We should probably find shelter for the time being. Fu Yao countered, If there's evil in this storm trying to stop us from advancing, then we must continue. Before Shalian could say anything, San Long burst out laughing. Fu Yao's head shot up, and he coldly demanded, What are you laughing at? San Long folded his arms and chuckled. Does being contradictory give you the satisfaction of feeling unique and independent? Wow, what a burn! The next time someone's just being so contradictory, say that to them. Does being contradictory give you the satisfaction of feeling unique and independent? Shalian had thought before that, although this youth was always smiling, it was often difficult to discern whether it was genuine or purposely courteous of a form of mockery. This time, however, anyone could tell there was not a trace of sincerity in his smile. Fu Yao's eyes grew dark, and Shalian raised his head. Stop right there, you two. If you've got things to say, you can save them later. It won't be funny if the wind gets any stronger. What, think it'll blow you away? Fu Yao mocked. Yes, that very well may, ha! Shalian didn't finish before the three in front of him suddenly vanished. Actually, they weren't the ones who vanished. He did. Another powerful gust had carried him away for real. A twister! Shalian spun wildly in the sky. He threw out his arms and cried, Royer, grab hold of something dependably solid! Royer shot out from within Shalian's sleeve, and the next moment he could feel the other end of the white bandage sink as if it was tied to something, and it yanked him to a stop. After finally stabilizing himself in the crazed wind, Shalian realized that he had been blown over 30 meters above the ground. Shalian was now like a kite, attached to the ground only by a single thread. With sand whipping at his face, he held fast and tried to see what exactly Royer had tied itself to. Squinting and blinking, Shalian finally recognized a red silhouette. The other end of Royer seemed to be wrapped around the wrist of the youth in red. Shalian told Royer to grab hold of something dependably solid, and it grabbed onto Sanlong. He's so solid. Oh my god. Shalian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I'm picturing Sanlong being like, you know those like tungsten cubes that are very small, but they're so heavy? Like they don't look like they'd be so heavy. That's like what Sanlong is. He's so fucking powerful that he's like fucking 10,000 pounds. But he's also just very dependable in nature as well. Shalian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Count it! Count it! He was about to command Royer to grab onto something else when the pull on his arm suddenly grew lighter. Shalian's heart sank. This wasn't the feeling of Royer being released, but something much worse. Sure enough, the red silhouette suddenly grew closer and was soon within reach. Sanlong had been dragged into the windstorm too. Shalian tried to shout, "Don't panic!" to him, but the moment he opened his mouth, he got another mouthful of sand. At this point, Shalian had gotten used to eating sand. He wanted to tell Sanlong not to panic, but in all honesty, he didn't think the boy would fret in the slightest. Royer continued to withdraw back to Shalian, closing the distance between him and the boy who had just been blown into the sky. As he suspected, Sanlong didn't look the least bit anxious, appearing as if he could calmly open a book and read right then and there. Shalian wondered if Sanlong had gotten dragged in on purpose. Royer wrapped itself around the waists of the two to tie them together. Shalian hugged onto Sanlong, then commanded, "Go, try again, but don't bring up any more people." The silk band shot out once again, but this time it grabbed onto Nanfeng and Fu Yao. Shalian felt drained. "Royer," he said tiredly, "I said no people, but I didn't mean it so literally, all right?" Shalian twisted himself towards the ground and shouted, "Nanfeng, Fu Yao, hang on tight!" Down below, of course, Nanfeng and Fu Yao did their utmost to try and anchor themselves, but the winds were simply too strong. Soon, to no one's surprise, another two silhouettes joined them in the twister. Yeah, he's hugging onto him. He's hugging Sanlong right now. Now all four of them were swirling about in the air at high speed. Within the dark yellowness between the heavens and the earth, what twister was like a slanted sand pillar reaching the sky. Four silhouettes tied together by a white silk band were whipping non-stop within it, going faster and faster, higher and higher. "How did you both get blown up here too?" Shalian shouted, enduring all the sand blowing into his mouth. I feel like we don't talk about the amount of sand Shalian fucking ate in this scene. Every time it reminds you, like, there is sand in his mouth. It's so funny. All they could see was sand, and all they could hear was wind. They had no choice but to use their loudest voices to shout to each other. "Ask your dumb Royer!" Fu Yao yelled back, spitting out sand as he quickly got a mouthful of it. Shalian seized his dumb Royer with both hands and said woefully, "Oh, Royer, all four of us are counting on you now. Please, absolutely do not grab the wrong thing again. Now go!" With heroic solemnity, Shalian released Royer once more. "Stop relying on that toy. Think of something else," Nanfeng roared. But just then, Shalian felt a tug from the other end of the silk band and lit up. "Wait, give it one more chance. It's caught something." "It better not be a random passerby. Let the poor person go," Fu Yao roared too. Shalian was also afraid of the same thing. He tugged back at Royer, but it remained taut and firm, and Shalian let out a breath of relief. "It's not. It pulled something solid, quite stable." Then he commanded Royer, "Pull!" Royer rapidly shortened against the force of the crazed twister. The four silhouettes were quickly pulled out of the wind pillar, and gradually in the midst of boundless yellow sand, Shalian could make out the contours of something large, black, and half round down below. The landmark was extremely big, about the size of a small temple. It was what Royer had latched onto. When they came closer to the ground, Jalian could finally see that clearly this round structure was actually a giant boulder. In a windstorm of such force, this boulder was like a solid, silent fortress, no doubt the perfect shelter. While on the road earlier, however, none of them had seen such a rock. Who knew how far this strange twister had taken them? When they landed, they immediately circled around to the back of the boulder to shelter from the wind. The moment they went around, understanding dawned on Shalian. Thank the heaven officials' blessings. Turned out, in the back of this boulder, there was an opening. The hole was as wide as 2 doors, but only half the height of one. Although a bit low, it was still possible for a grown person to enter if they bent down. The hole's opening was jagged and slanted, but it appeared to be haphazardly man-made rather than naturally formed. When Jalian entered, he discovered that the inside of the boulder was hollowed out, and quite deep. It was dark further inside, so he didn't bother trying to look around, and settled down where there was light. He brushed the sand off Royer and wrapped it back on his wrist. Nanfeng and Fu Yao were both spitting out sand and covered in it from head to toe, from their eyes to their ears to their mouths and noses and all over their clothes. They peeled off their outer robes and shook them out. They were heavy with fine grains of sand. Of the 4 of them, only Sanlong looked unruffled as he lazily dusted himself off and made himself proper again. Other than his lopsided ponytail, his carefree form remained unaffected. That ponytail had been tied by Shalian and was askew to begin with, so a little wind made no noticeable difference anyway. Nanfeng wiped his face and started cursing while Shalian dumped sand from his bamboo hat. Ah, I didn't think you 2 would get pulled in as well. Why didn't you use the 1,000-pound weight spell? We did! It was useless! Nanfeng spat angrily. From the side, Fu Yao was still ferociously shaking sand out of his outer robe and said equally ferociously, Where do you think we are? This is a desert in the northwest, not the main domain of my general. Nanfeng continued, The north is the territory of the 2 generals Pei, and the west belongs to Chuan Yizhen. You won't find a Nanyang temple within a 100-kilometer radius of this place. There is a saying in the mortal realm that even a powerful dragon cannot win against the local snakes. As Nanfeng and Fu Yao were deputy generals of the southeast and southwest, it couldn't be helped that their powers were restricted when they tried to use them outside of their own territories. Seeing their incredibly sullen, frustrated faces, Jalian thought this was perhaps the first time they were sent flying by a huge wind to tumble in circles without any way to land. You 2 have worked very hard. Sanlong sat down next to him and propped up a cheek with his hand. So are we just going to sit here until the storm blows over? Looks like we'll have to. Jalian turned to him and replied, As strong as that twister is, it can't possibly blow a giant rock into the sky. You never know. Like you said, there's certainly something off about that wind. A sudden thought came to Shalian. Sanlong, may I ask a question? Ask away, Sanlong replied. That state preceptor of Banyue, is it a man or a woman? Shalian asked. Did I not mention earlier? She's a woman. Just as I suspected, Shalian thought. Earlier when we were resting at the abandoned inn, didn't we see 2 figures pass by? Their steps were graceful and strange, definitely not those of a mortal, and the one in white was a female cultivator. Fu Yao looked doubtful. It's not easy to identify whether they were a man or a woman by the robes, and they looked taller than the average woman. Are you sure you saw right? I'm absolutely sure, Shalian said. I saw her badonkadonks clear as day. So I thought she might be the state preceptor of Banyue. It's possible, Nanfeng said, but there was another black-clad figure traveling with her. Who could that be? Hard to say, but that person was walking even faster than she was. Their strength is definitely no less than hers, Shalian said. Could it have been the other evil state preceptor, Fang Xin? Fu Yao wondered. This is crazy. I think regarding that, the whole dual evil masters title was only given because, historically, their actions were similar. Both were equally evil, so people connected them together as a pair to remember them more easily, like the 4 great calamities of the ghost realm. Even if there aren't really 4 that fit, they are made for because it's simpler. Hearing Shalian say this, Sanlong burst out laughing. Shalian stared at him. It's nothing, Sanlong said. I just thought what you said made sense. One of the 4 in the great 4 calamities is certainly only there for the head count. Please continue. I love how, at like the mention of Qirong, he's just like, Pah! Yeah. Shailan continued, in reality, the dual evil masters have nothing to do with each other. I've heard of State Preceptor Feng Xin. He was the State Preceptor of Yong'an, born at least 100 years earlier than the State Preceptor of Banyue. You don't know of the four calamities in the Ghost Realm, but you know about the State Preceptor Feng Xin of Yong'an in the Mortal Realm? Fu Yao asked in disbelief. I overhear things while collecting scraps in the Mortal Realm. It's not like I collect scraps in the Ghost Realm, so of course I don't learn anything about them, Shailan explained. The wind outside the cave seemed to be dying down. Nanfeng approached the opening of their shelter, patting the rocky surface here and there, inspecting its material. It's not suspicious at all, is it, huh? He stared fixated at it for a moment, then lowered his head. Oh, fuck, I just gave myself such a fucking paper cut. Oh my god. Ouch! Ow! We're good. We're so good. I'm so strong. Why would there be a hollow rock like this in the middle of a desert? He thought the boulder was rather suspicious, but Shailan wasn't surprised by it. Hollowed boulders like these aren't unusual. The people of Banyue used to build shelters like these to hide from sandstorms, or even for passing the night while taking their livestock to graze. Some holes weren't dug, but rather blown out, Shailan said. How could they graze in a desert? Nanfeng asked, confused. Shailan smiled. It wasn't all desert here 200 years ago. There used to be an oasis. Gaga, Sanlong called. What is it? Shailan turned his head. Sanlong raised his hand and pointed. This rock you're sitting on seems to have writing on it. What? Shailan looked down, then stood up and found that where he had been sitting was actually a stele, a carved stone monument. After wiping the layer of dust, there were indeed letters on its surface. However, the characters were carved rather shallowly, so the words weren't very clear. At least half of the stele was still buried, and the words stretched from beneath the stand all the way up until they faded into blackness. If there was writing here, it had to be examined. I don't have much power left. Can someone lend me a palm light? Thanks, Shailan asked. Nanfeng snapped his fingers, and a small burst of flame ignited in his palm. Shailan stole a glance at Sanlong, but the youth didn't appear surprised. Shailan supposed that after seeing the teleportation array, there wasn't much more to be surprised about. Nanfeng moved his palm to where Shailan directed and brightened the writing on the stone stele. The characters were incredibly odd, slanting as if randomly scribbled by a toddler. What is this? Nanfeng wondered. Banyue script, duh, Sanlong replied. I'm sure Nanfeng asked the meaning of the words. Shailan said, let me see. Oh my god. Shailan dusted more sand off the stone stele, revealing the first column of writing with the largest characters. That had to be the heading. The same characters also appeared repeatedly in various sections of the text. Fu Yao approached and produced a palm torch. You know how to read Banyue script? Truth be told, I collected scraps in Banyue before that evil master of Banyue, or whoever, came about, Shailan replied. ... Is there something wrong? Nothing, Fu Yao humphed. Just wondering where you haven't collected junk. Shailan flashed a smile, then looked down again at the characters. A moment later, he suddenly said, General. What? Nanfeng and Fu Yao answered at the same time. That's funny. Shailan looked up. The first word on this stone is general. He paused for a moment. But there's another character after that. I'm unsure of the meaning. Nanfeng seemed to sigh in relief. Then you'd best look some more. Shailan nodded, and Nanfeng shifted his palm over further to light up the other words. Something didn't feel right, Shailan thought. There seemed to be something else on the periphery of his vision. With both hands pressed on the rock, Shailan slowly looked up. Above the stone stele, the flickering flames illuminated a stiff human face. This face, with its bulging eyes, was staring straight at him. Ah! The one who screamed wasn't Shailan or Nanfeng, but that stiff face. Nanfeng immediately took out his other hand and ignited it as well. He put both hands together and grew the flames until they were bright enough to lighten up the entire cave. The one whose face was revealed by the light was a person who had been hiding in the shadows the whole time. When the flames grew bigger, he scurried along the walls to the back of the cave, and there Shailan saw 7 or 8 people huddled together, trembling in fear. Who are you? Nanfeng shouted. Nanfeng's angry shout echoed in the cave, and Shalian, whose ears were still ringing from the scream earlier, covered his ears. Noise from the windstorms had deafened them, and anything spoken too softly wasn't heard. After they entered the cave, they had discussed the evil master of Banyue, then focused their attention on deciphering the stone stele, so no one had noticed that there were others also hiding within their shelter. The 7 or 8 people trembled. A moment later, an elder of 50 or so years stammered, "We're a merchant caravan passing through the area, just ordinary merchants. The sandstorm is too fierce, so we're hiding in here for the time being." He was the most composed of the group, and by the looks of it, the leader. Nanfeng asked, "If you're just ordinary merchants, why are you sneaking around and hiding so furtively?" The elder was about to respond when a youth of around 17 years shouted, "We weren't planning on sneaking around, but you guys suddenly rushed in here. Who knows whether you're good or evil? Then we heard you talk about the evil master of Banyue and some ghost realm stuff, and you ignited fire in your palms. We thought you guys were Banyue soldiers out patrolling and hunting for flesh. No way we'd make a sound." "Stop talking, Qian Xiang." The old man hushed the boy, afraid that he might have offended the other party. The youth had thick brows and large eyes, with the face and mind of a tiger. As soon as an elder spoke, he shut up immediately. Shalian put down his hands, his ears no longer ringing, and said amiably, "It's nothing but a misunderstanding. Just a misunderstanding. Let's all relax a bit. No need to be so nervous." He paused for a moment before continuing to explain. "We're not Banyue soldiers. I am just a cultivator from a small shrine. These are people from my shrine. We only know a few tricks, nothing fancy. You're ordinary merchants, and we're ordinary cultivators without malicious intent. It just so happens that we all entered the same shelter to hide away from the same sandstorm." His voice was soft and gentle, each word spoken slowly to calm everyone's nerves. After much explanation and reassurance, the merchant party finally relaxed. Yet unexpectedly, Sanlang suddenly laughed. "I think they're being way too humble. Those merchants aren't as simple as they say they are." No one understood what he meant and looked at him in confusion. "Don't at least half the travelers go missing when trekking through Banyue Pass? To cross this land while knowing that rumor, surely you're all extraordinarily brave. Nothing ordinary about you." "That's not all true, young man," the elder responded. "Besides the fact that rumors are largely exaggerated, there are many caravans that have passed through without harm before." "Oh?" Sanlong said. "As long as you find the right guide and go around Banyue territory, all is well. So we sought out and found a local to lead us," the elder said. "Yeah," that youth Qiansheng said. "It all depends on the guide. We owe everything to Jiao Ge. If not for him, we wouldn't have been able to avoid all those quicksand pits. When the sandstorm started, he knew exactly where to bring us to hide. Otherwise, we would be buried alive in sand by now." Shalian took a glance. This Jiao who guided them looked rather young, seemingly in his 20s, with an attractive, stony face. When he was praised by the other two, he didn't make a show of it. His head was down, and he mumbled, "It's nothing, just doing my duty. Hopefully when the wind dies down, none of the camels or cargo will be damaged." "They'll be fine for sure." "Those camels are fucked up." The merchants were all very optimistic, but Shalian had a feeling things weren't as simple as they all thought. If all trouble could be avoided by simply not crossing into Banyue territory, then did all the former travelers who lost their lives die because they didn't believe the rumors? Shalian gave it some thought and said to Nanfeng and Fuyao in a quiet voice, "This is too sudden. Once the storm passes, we'll need to make sure these people pass through safely before going to the Banyue ruins." Then Shalian looked back down to continue deciphering the Banyue writing on the stone stele. He recognized the word general earlier, but that was because it was a common word. It had been 200 years since he last visited the kingdom of Banyue. Even if he was fluent then, it had been forgotten since. Shouldering the burden of translation really required time and patience. I wonder if the people translating found that line funny to translate. Just then, Sanlong said, "Tomb of the General." Shalian remembered now. The last character was the one for tomb, grave, burial, and other similar terms. He turned to look at him, amazed. "Sanlong, do you know Banyue script too?" Sanlong smiled. "Not much. I only know a few words because they're interesting." Shalian was already used to him saying that. The word tomb was not one often used. If Sanlong really only knew not much, how could he just so happen to know exactly what this one character meant? His not much probably meant the same as ask away, and Shalian grinned immediately. "Excellent. Maybe the characters you recognize happen to be the ones I don't know. Come closer and let's examine this together." Shalian waved lightly to beckon, so Sunlong went over. Nanfeng and Fu Yao stood next to them, lighting the tomb with their palm torches for them to read. Shalian lightly touched the words with his fingers, reviewing the writing in a low voice with Sunlong, softly reading the words. The more they read, the more amazed they looked, before gradually growing glummer. The merchant boy, Qian Sheng, was young, and youths were prone to curiosity. After the little chat earlier, it was as if they had become familiar, so he called out, "Gaga, what does it say on the stele?" Shalian snapped out of it and replied, "The stone stele is a memorial. It tells the story of the life of a general." "A Banue general?" Qian Sheng asked. "No, a Central Plains general," Sunlong answered. "A Central Plains general?" Nanfeng was puzzled. "Why would the people of Banue build a memorial for a Central Plains man? I thought the two nations were constantly at war with each other." "This general was special," Sunlong replied. "Although the memorial calls him a general, he was actually no more than a captain." "Was he promoted to general later?" "No. At the beginning, he led a troop of hundreds, but it dwindled to a troop of 70, then to 50. In other words, continued demotion." The feeling of being demoted to the point of nothing was quite familiar to Shalian, and he could feel eyes on him. He pretended not to notice and continued to decipher the Banue writing. Qian Sheng couldn't understand and continued asking, "What kind of official gets demoted lower and lower in rank? As long as he didn't make any major mistakes, there should only be delays in promotion, not demotion, right? How much of a failure do you have to be?" Wow. Shalian clenched his right hand in a fist and raised it to his lips. He faintly cleared his throat and replied in a stern voice, "Young man, receiving continuous demotion is not as rare as you think." "Huh?" Sunlong chuckled. "It's true, it happens a lot." He paused before continuing. "This captain got demoted time and time again, not because he was incapable or incompetent. It's because, despite poor relations on both sides of this conflict, instead of winning battles on the battlefield, he kept getting in the way." "What do you mean getting in the way?" Nanfeng asked. "He prevented his enemies from killing civilians of the Central Plains, and he also blocked his own army from killing the people of Banue. Every time he did this, he got demoted a rank." Sunlong spoke lightheartedly, and the 7 or 8 merchants sat close to him like it was story time. Soon they got into it and started commenting. "I don't think the captain did anything wrong," Qian Shen remarked. "It shouldn't be a problem to let soldiers kill each other, but not civilians, right?" "He's too blindly kind for a soldier, but overall he didn't commit any crimes." "Yeah, he was saving lives, not killing people." Shalian smiled at all the comments. These merchants before them had never lived a day at a battle-torn border. They were not the same people as those here 200 years ago. The kingdom of Banue had long since perished. It was easy for them to say this, criticize that, then give compliments. But the action of that captain weren't so easily forgiven back then, not with a simple remark like, "He's too blindly kind." Within the group, only Ajiao understood better, probably because he was a local. Now was now, 200 years ago was 200 years ago. To only receive demotion was a blessing for this captain. Fu Yao, however, clicked his tongue. How laughable. Shalian could pretty much guess what he was about to say and rubbed his forehead. Sure enough, the light of the flickering flames illuminated Fu Yao's glum look. One must do the duty demanded by their position. If he became a soldier, then he must always remember to defend his country and kill enemies on the front lines. Casualties are inevitable in war. Such soft-heartedness has no place in war and will only drag down his fellow soldiers. His enemies will also think him foolish. No one will thank him in the end. Fu Yao's words had irrefutable logic, and silence soon filled the cave. He continued dryly, "People like that only have one end, death. They will either die in battle or at the hands of their own people." After being struck speechless for a moment, Shalian broke the silence. "Yeah, you're right. He did die." Qian Sheng was shocked. "Ah, how did he die? Was he really killed by his own people?" After a moment of deliberation, Shalian still replied in the end. "Not really. Here it says that there was once a battle when both sides clashed, and as they fought, this man's bootlaces came loose and he stepped on them, tripped, then..." Everyone in the cave had assumed the death must have been tragic but heroic, so they were all taken aback at first, thinking what kind of death was that? Then laughter exploded. "He was trampled by the soldiers on both sides, who were blinded by murderous rage, and was cut down by a mess of random weapons." "Is it that funny?" Sunlong quirked a brow. Oh my god. Damn. Shalian also piped up, Yeah, it's rather tragic. Let's be more sympathetic and not laugh, okay? We're in his tomb after all. Let's give him some face. I don't mean anything malicious by laughing, Shan Chung immediately claimed, but his death is just so... There was nothing Shalian could do. Reading the epitaph to this point, even he wanted to laugh. He didn't comment and continued to translate. In any case, even though this captain didn't have a good reputation in the army, some of the border citizens of both Banyue and Yong'an are very grateful for his efforts, so they called him General. They built this simple stone tomb for him and erected a stone stele to remember him by. Later, the people of Banyue discovered another miraculous thing about this memorial. As long as one kowtows before the stone stele 3 times, one can transform all disasters met in the Gobi to good fortune. Sanlong completed the translation. He spoke so enigmatically that it was very convincing. His expression was also serious, so when the group heard, several of them immediately started prostrating, muttering that they'd rather believe it true than not. Shalian, however, was confused. What? Is that written there? Is that really that magical? Sanlong smiled and said in a low voice, No, I made that up, but since they laughed earlier, their prostrating should now make up for it. He always defends him. I fucking love Sanlong so much. Oh my god. Shalian looked back at the stone stele and saw that it was indeed the end of the epitaph and there were no more words. He had been feeling a bit woeful, but now he thought it was funny. He whispered back, Why are you so mischievous? Sanlong stuck out his tongue, and the two chuckled. Oh my god, they're flirting! He likes him! Oh my god. Aw, so sweet. Just then someone shrieked, What's this? The shriek echoed in the cave, sharply reverberating against the walls, and it caused all their hairs to stand up. Shalian instantly turned toward the shriek came from and demanded, What happened? Where the merchants were once prostrating, everyone had jumped up in a flash and scurried away in fear and alarm. Snake! Nanfeng and Fuyao moved their palms towards the commotion and lit up the ground in that direction. Curled on the sandy floor was a slender, brilliantly colored snake. Why is there a snake? The crowd was growing increasingly anxious. How did this snake not make any noise? We didn't hear it when it slithered over at all. When the flames appeared near the snake, it instantly became alert and raised itself into an attack position. Nanfeng was... Yeah, snakes in the chat. Nanfeng was about to torch it when someone leisurely strolled over. That person easily snatched the snake with his left hand, clutching it at its heart. He brought it closer to observe it and said, Isn't it normal to see snakes in the desert? Someone that fearlessly gutsy was, of course, Sanlong. They say to fight a snake, seize it at the heart. If pressed there hard enough, no matter how venomous its fangs, it'll be helpless. The snake wrapped its long tail around Sanlong's left arm meekly. At closer range, Shalian could see clearly the snake had translucent skin, and its vivid red insides were visible and mixed with threads of black, resembling organs. Rather disgusting. The tail was the color of flesh and segmented with layers of hard shell, unlike that of a snake, more like a scorpion. Seeing this, Shalian's face changed and he called out, Watch out for its tail! Before Shalian finished speaking, the long snake body wrapped around Sanlong's left arm suddenly let go. The tail snapped backwards and tried to stab viciously towards Sanlong. Venomous as the tail was, Sanlong's right hand was faster, and he easily caught it. Now holding both head and tail, Sanlong showed off the snake to Shalian like it was an interesting toy, laughing. This tail is pretty interesting. On the end of the tail there was a long, flesh-red needle. Shalian sighed in relief. I'm glad you weren't stung. As I thought, this is a scorpion snake. Nanfeng and Fuyao approached to observe the snake too. Scorpion snake? That's right, Shalian said. It's a kind of venomous vermin, only found in Banyue. They're very rare. I've never seen one before, but I've heard of them. Body of a snake, tail of a scorpion. Its venom has the strength of both combined, and if bitten or stung... Shalian trailed off. He watched Sanlong twisting the snake, pulling and squeezing it as if it were a towel, stopping just short of tying it into a bow. Shalian was speechless for a moment, then gently chided, Sanlong, stop playing with the poor thing, it's dangerous. Sanlong laughed. Don't worry, Gaga, it's nothing. The scorpion snake is the totem of the Banyue State Preceptor. Gotta take this rare chance to examine it. Shalian blinked. The totem of the Banyue State Preceptor? That's right, Sanlong said. Apparently, it was because the state preceptor could control the scorpion snakes that the people of Banue believed in her infinite powers and worshipped her. Hearing the word control alarmed Shalian. When it came to controlling anything, whatever it might be, they usually came in huge numbers. He immediately cried, "Everyone leave this cave! There may be more than one scorpion snake." Before he could finish, there came a wail. "Ah! Snake!" Other voices started yelling, "So many snakes! Over here, too!" From the shadows, 7 or 8 scorpion snakes soundlessly slithered into the cave. They came so swiftly and quietly from unknown crevices, but they didn't attack, only watched, judging. Soundless in both movement and attack, not even hissing, extremely dangerous. Nanfeng and Fuyao released 2 fireballs and shot them towards the snake, and a large ball of fire exploded inside the cave. "Get out!" Shalian yelled. No one needed to be told twice, and everyone ran outside. Luckily, it was still light out, and the twister had long passed. The wind calmed. The group of them escaped into the ground and kept running. As they ran, someone said, "That stone memorial is too scary. How come after we kowtowed 3 times, we still ran into stuff like that?" Shalian was thankful that they didn't know those last words were fabricated by San Long, but then he heard someone else say, "Yeah, it's pretty much the same effect as worshipping the scrap immortal. The more you pray, the unluckier you become. ... Even when the issue was barely related to him, he still got shot. Shalian was speechless. Suddenly, Chen Sheng yelped in alarm. "Uncle Zhang!" That elder he had been assisting had collapsed. Shalian darted over. Here's a picture of the slippery snakes. "What happened?" Pain filled the face of old man Zhang, and he raised a shaky hand. Shalian grabbed hold of his hand and frowned, his heart sinking. There was a growing, angry swelling spreading rapidly down his palm, and within the red and purple bruising, there were 2 small punctures, barely visible. A wound that tiny would not have otherwise been noticed until it was too late. "Everyone check and see if you have any wounds on your bodies," Shalian called out immediately. "If you do, use a rope to stop the spread." Shalian turned the hand over to examine his meridians and saw that the red and purple swelling was visibly climbing up the veins of the arm. What a formidable venom, Shalian thought. He was just about to unravel Royer when next to him, Ajao ripped off a strip of fabric from his own clothing and promptly knotted it tightly around the old man's bicep to prevent the venom from progressing. Shalian mentally praised him. He looked up, and without needing him to say anything, Nanfeng had already taken out a medicine bottle and popped out a pill. Shalian helped the old man swallow it. "Uncle, are you okay?" Qiansheng cried. "Ajao ge, Uncle won't die, will he?" Ajao shook his head. "To be bitten by the scorpion snake means certain death within 4 hours. Qiansheng was shaken. "Then what do we do?" Old man Zhang was the leader of the caravan, and the other merchants also started panicking. "Our friend here just gave him a pill, right?" "That wasn't an antidote," Nanfeng said. "It's for temporary longevity. The most it can give him is 24 hours. The crowd became even more distressed. "Only 24 hours? Does that mean that we can only sit here and wait for death to come? Is there no saving him from this venom?" Right then, Sanlong walked over slowly. "There is a way." Everyone turned to stare at him. Qiansheng turned his head joyously. "Xiaoge, if there's a way, why didn't you say so? It gave me a fright." However, Ajao stayed silent and shook his head. "Of course it's not easy for him to say," Sanlong said. "How could he possibly tell you that the bitten one can only be saved at the cost of everyone else's lives?" "Sanlong, what do you mean?" Shalian asked. "Gaga, do you know the story behind the scorpion snake?" Sanlong asked. "In the legends, many hundreds of years ago, there was once a king of Banue who, while hunting, inadvertently caught 2 spirits born from 2 venomous creatures, one snake and one scorpion. The 2 venom spirits cultivated deep within the mountains, ignorant of the world and causing no afflictions. Nevertheless, the king considered their nature and believed they would cause evil sooner or later, so he decided to execute them. They begged and begged for their lives to be spared, but the king was cruel. He forced the 2 creatures to mate in front of him and his ministers to serve as entertainment at one of his many banquets, and after the feast, they were executed. What the fuck? Only the queen pitied the 2 creatures, but she feared going against the will of the king, so all she could do was pick the leaf of a fragrant fern and cast it out to cover their corpses. The snake and scorpion became vengeful spirits, immensely resentful, and they cursed the descendants born from their mating to forever remain in the kingdom of Banue to destroy its people. Ever since then, scorpion snakes were only found within Banue territory. Should anyone be bitten or stung, the venom would spread through their body like wildfire, and they would die a miserable death. However, thanks to that one act of kindness by the queen, the fern leaves used to cover their corpses became the antidote for their venom. That plant is called Nshanue, and it only grows within the borders of Banue, Sanlong finished. Is the legend true? Can it be believed? The merchants asked anxiously. Buddy, this concerns life and death. Don't joke around with us. Sanlong smiled but said nothing, refusing to speak more after telling Shelian the tale. Jiansheng turned towards Ajiao. Jiaoge, is what that red-clad Gaga said true? After a moment of hesitation, Ajiao replied, Whether the legend is true, I do not know, but the Shayue plant does grow within the walls of Banue, and it is indeed the antidote for the scorpion snake venom. Meaning the only way to live after getting bitten is to venture into the kingdom of Banue? Shelian asked. No wonder so many caravans passed through Banue territory, despite knowing the deadly rumors. It wasn't that they were defiant and stubbornly went to seek their own deaths, but rather that if they didn't go, they would most certainly die. Oh ho ho ho! So they had to enter Banue to get the antidote because everybody always getting stung by the poor fucking snakes. Just plant it outside Banue. Dodoy. The scorpion snake was the totem of the evil master of Banue, and she also controlled them. The appearance of these snakes was no mere coincidence. With only a few heavenly officials like them here, there was no way they could ensure the absolute safety of the entire merchant group, and there was no telling how many more snakes would show. Shelian raised 2 fingers and pressed them against his temple, trying to connect with the heavenly communication array to see if he could shamelessly borrow more junior officials. No dice. He couldn't connect to the array, couldn't reach out at all. Shelian lowered his hand and wondered, I didn't use up all my spiritual powers, did I? I calculated this morning, and there was still a little bit left. He turned to Nanfeng and Fuyao. Can either of you try to enter the communication array? I'm getting no connection. After a moment, the other 2 also looked grim. I can't get in either, Nanfeng said. There were cases where the connection would become fuzzy near highly evil auras potent enough to diminish the powers of various heavenly officials, and sometimes cut them off completely. It seemed that was the situation they were in now. Shelian paced back and forth and wondered out loud. It might be because we're too close to the kingdom of Banue, so the communication array is blocked. Just then, in the corner of his eye, there was a flash of red. The galactic moon said Snorpion. Oh, not the poor Snorpions. I feel so bad for the Snorpions. Nanfeng and Fuyao were busy trying to reconnect with the communication array, and everyone else was occupied checking for wounds on their bodies. The boy Tiansheng was anxiously holding tightly onto Old Man Zheng and didn't notice a wine-red scorpion snake soundlessly climbing up his spine, curling near his neck, and opening its mouth. However, the fangs were not aiming at Tiansheng's neck, but at Sanlong's arm right next to it. The snake leaned back, then pounced. In the speed of a second, before the snake had the chance to sink its fangs into Sanlong, Shelian's hand shot out and snatched it right at the heart with blinding precision. Given his strength, Shelian could crush the snake's heart if he wanted to, rupture its innards and spill its insides. But knowing whether the snake's flesh was also poisonous, he didn't dare press harder. Shelian raised his other hand to grab for the tail, but the snake was slippery and artful, making it difficult to catch. Shelian squeezed, but he only felt something soft and cold slither away from his fingers. The next moment, a sharp needled pain flared from the back of his hand. The scorpion tail! After the sting, Shelian snatched the tail and captured the snake properly, then squeezed down hard until it fell unconscious. Even having been stung, Shelian's face never changed, and he tossed the unconscious snake onto the ground indifferently. Everyone be careful, there might be more snakes around. He felt a tight grip on his wrist before he finished and looked to see that it was Sanlong who caught hold of him. Sanlong? Shelian was tightly taken aback. The reason he sounded confused was because, at that moment, the expression on the youth's face was off. It was unexplainable, frosty, almost to the point of being frightening. His eyes were focused intently on the tiny wound on the back of Shalian's hand. The wounds themselves were originally the size of needle punctures, but the venom was vicious. The back of his hand had immediately swelled up angrily with a large patch of purpley red, and those small puncture wounds had visibly enlarged to the size of knife cuts. With a dark expression, Sanlang wordlessly snatched Royer from Shalian's arm and immediately knotted it firmly on his wrist, preventing the venom from advancing. While Royer enjoyed snuggling up to Shalian, it wasn't normally that well behaved, and yet in Sanlang's hands it was so compliant it was like it was dead. For all the time they'd known each other, Shalian had never seen Sanlang look like this. He opened his mouth to speak, but Sanlang turned to pull a dagger off the waist of one of the merchants. Nanfeng saw and knew instantly what Sanlang was going to do, and he ignited a palm torch. Without sparing a look, Sanlang burned the tip of the dagger to disinfect it before turning back to Shalian and drawing a cross over the puncture wound. Just as he was about to lower his head to the hand, Shalian hurriedly said, "It's okay, the venom is aggressive. Sucking it won't do much. I don't want you to get poisoned." Sucking it won't do much? Sanlang ignored Shalian's protests, tightened his hold on Shalian's hand, and placed his lips upon it. Shalian felt his own arm tremble slightly, and he couldn't explain why. Next to him, Fu Yao said in disdain, "I can't believe you went and got yourself stung. What were you doing, catching the snake when the kid might not have been bitten? You're just causing unnecessary trouble." That was true. Now that Shalian thought back to the airy way Sanlang played with that snake in the cave, he probably wouldn't have even cared about an attack and would have easily avoided being bitten. But just in case Sanlang didn't notice the snake in time, then wouldn't it be too late for regrets? Shalian waved his good hand. "Don't worry, it's not like it hurts, and I won't die from it." "You're really not in pain?" Fu Yao asked. "Really, I don't feel pain anymore," Shalian answered honestly. Oh, fuck. Oh, baby. Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's not good. His words were true. Shalian was someone who possessed the worst of luck, so when he ventured deep into the mountains, 8 times out of 10, he would step on vipers or run into venomous insects and get bitten, stung, jabbed, or poisoned in the thousands of ways. However, he'd always been very stubborn at not dying, and most he'd run a fever. After 3 days and 3 nights of fever, he'd wake up right as rain and continued on as if nothing happened. He simply wasn't sensitive to pain, so as much as it hurt, he could live with it. He's not sensitive to pain, but can still feel hurt. So as much as it hurt, he could live with it. Right after he said this, Sanlang finally looked up. The red swelling on the back of Shalian's hand had gone down, and Sanlang's lips were stained with blood. His eyes were extremely cold, and he moved his glare to the unconscious snake on the ground. There was a loud boom, and the snake abruptly exploded into a purplish-red pool of blood and flesh. Just like the laser eyes explosion is hilarious. Just like, oh my god. Sucks the venom out, then boom, literally fucking explodes you with my mind. Literally explodes you with my mind. Oh my god. That's so funny. The sudden blast surprised everyone, but no one knew who did it. Even if the blood didn't splatter onto anyone, there was still a feeling of unease blanketing the crowd. Chen Sheng, remembering that Shalian had also been stung, asked worriedly, "Gaga, you got stung too? What will you do?" I feel like we moved on from the snake exploding a little too fast. I mean, I guess Fu Yao could have assumed Nanfeng did it, and Nanfeng could have assumed Fu Yao did it, and everybody else could have assumed the generals did it, I suppose. But oh my god, that's crazy. Shalian felt the bandage on his wrist and smiled. "Don't worry, little one. We'll stick to the plan of going to the Banyue ruins and searching for the Shanue fern." Orion's belt, thank you for donating. "I'm Sanlang, and I'm a normal guy. Snakes just do that sometimes." Oh, God. Another merchant asked, "You guys are going? What about us? Should we send someone to go with you?" "You can all stay here. Banyue territory is dangerous. The more people there, the more mishaps can happen. We will find the fern and bring it back to you within 24 hours, Shalian said. Will you really? Thank you so much. How could we possibly ever... A number of the merchants started stuttering their thanks, but then their faces changed when Shalian continued to speak. In order to reach Banyue as soon as possible, I want to borrow your guide temporarily, if that's all right. Naturally, Shalian meant Ajao. The merchants went from grateful and relieved to largely hesitant. Shalian knew where they were coming from. They were afraid that Shalian might run off with their guide once he found the Banyue firm, or even if Ajao didn't run away, he would still be greatly delayed. Nevertheless, none of them wanted to venture into that wicked place where at least half go missing, so it was a huge dilemma. Their worries were perfectly normal, so Shalian quickly added, "And just in case anything else comes to attack you, Fu Yao will stay until we return." With one man staying, the merchants finally agreed and nodded. "All right, as long as Ajao is willing to go with you." Shalian turned to Ajao. "Are you open to lending us a hand, my friend? If not, that's okay too." Ajao nodded and said, "Yes, but the Banyue ruins are actually not hard to get to. Just keep going in this direction and you'll reach them." After bidding the merchants farewell, Ajao took the lead with Shalian, Sanlang, and Nanfeng following right behind. A while later, Shalian inquired, "Ajao, do the scorpion snakes appear frequently in this area?" "Not frequently. This was my first time seeing them too," Ajao replied. Shalian nodded and had no more questions. Truthfully, he did live in the Banyue area for a number of years, and this was also his first time seeing a scorpion snake. Ajao's answer was not surprising. Nanfeng realized Shalian's intentions and asked in a low voice, "You're suspicious of this Ajao?" Shalian responded in a whisper, "Either way, we've brought him out. Just keep an eye on him." In the past, it was usually Sanlang who would talk to him first. Shalian wasn't sure if it was because of the incident earlier, but the youth still looked rather upset, walking without speaking a word. Shalian couldn't figure out what was going on and didn't know how to talk to him, so he kept on walking as well. The four continued to trek through the vast Gobi Desert for close to an hour. The windstorm had long since passed, and without any obstructions they advanced quickly. Soon they could see ragged weeds here and there, growing in cracks in the rocks and sand. By the time the sun was setting, Shalian finally spotted an ancient walled city on the horizon. The city was difficult to see because it was the color of sand, camouflaged by the yellow so it became one with the desert. Some parts of the city walls were caved in and buried in the sand. As they approached, they found that the walls were extremely high, towering over 30 meters. It wasn't hard to imagine the city's past magnificence, how grand it must have been. Passing through the Barbican, the four formally entered the kingdom of Banyue. We're in it! We're in Banyue, guys! Woo! Moon's in the chat! Past the gate was a wide and empty city street with dilapidated houses on each side and rotten beams and broken bricks strewn about. Perhaps it was out of habit, Ajao cautioned the others. "Please be careful and don't leave the group on your own." The other three didn't need that reminder. The actual Banyue city was far different from what they'd imagined. Nanfeng wondered, "This is the kingdom of Banyue? It's smaller than a capital." "A desert country is only as big as the oasis it's built on," Shalian explained. At its peak, the population was only about 10,000. It was actually pretty lively in a small city like this. Nanfeng continued to observe the surroundings. It would probably only take a few days to siege a country of this size. Shalian shook his head. "Not necessarily. Don't underestimate the people of Banyue, Nanfeng. Even if their population wasn't more than 10,000, they kept the number of soldiers at an average of 4,000. There were more men than women. Aside from the sick and the old and the farmers, most men joined the army. Besides, the majority of those soldiers were over 3 meters tall, each more violent than the next. With maces in hand, they would keep fighting, even with swords through their chests. They were very hard to fight." Ajao seemed rather surprised and glanced at Shalian. "This young master seems to know a lot." Shalian maintained a smile and was about to converse some more when Nanfeng posed a question. "Over 3 meters tall? That's fucking crazy." "What's that wall?" He was indicating a giant yellow earthen building in the far distance. Building wasn't quite the word to describe it. It was a giant enclosure formed by 4 massive mud-colored walls, with neither doors nor a roof. Each wall was over 30 meters, and on the very top there was a pole with something tattered attached, flying in the wind. It was a chilling image. Shalian turned his head and glanced, then said simply, "That's the sinner's pit." Not the sinner's pit. Oh yeah, there is a picture. I can't believe we missed this photo of the suckening. Gaga on the cob. Thank you, Dailumi, for the reminder. The sinner's pit. So basically the chat. Yeah, you're right. Humming gravely. Oh, sorry. By the sound of the name alone, it was obvious it wasn't anything good. Sinner's pit? Nanfeng frowned. Humming gravely, Shalian explained. You can think of it as a jail. It was made specifically for imprisoning criminals. How does it imprison anyone if there isn't even a door? Throw them in from the top? Nanfeng wondered. Shalian was hesitating to answer when Sanlong suddenly spoke up. They do get thrown in, and the pit is full of venomous snakes and starving beasts. Shalian was relieved to finally hear him speak, but when he looked over to Sanlong, the boy met his gaze and turned away. Nanfeng swore. That's no fucking jail, that's torture! How cruel! The people of Banyue were either sick in the head or savage psychos! Shalian rubbed his forehead. Not all of them were like that, some were quite endearing. He paused suddenly, his brows furrowing. Wait. The other three stopped, and Shalian pointed upward. Look at that pole up at the top of the pit. Is that a person hanging from it? In the dimming light of the setting sun, and at such a distance, it was difficult to see what exactly was hanging from the pole, but getting closer and scrutinizing the shape, it became obvious that it was a scrawny little person in black, their clothes unkempt, dangling in the wind like a rag doll. It's a person, Sanlong confirmed. When Ajao saw the hanging person, his face paled. This was such a bizarre, anguishing display that even a calm individual like him just couldn't bear the sight of it. Just then, Sanlong tilted his head and said in a low voice, Someone's here. He wasn't the one who noticed, the only one who noticed. Shalian also heard feather-light footsteps approaching. The four immediately moved to hide in the many decaying houses on the roadside. Shalian and Sanlong entered one house, and Nanfeng and Ajao hid in the one across the street. Soon after, at the end of the broken street, the female cultivator in white appeared. Here she is! The woman was dressed in a pale white robe and a whisk tucked in her arm, the garb of a Taoist priestess. She roamed along the street, peering here and there. Her eyes were bright and observant, as if she were in her own backyard garden and not the Banyue ruins. Strolling right behind her was another woman, clad in black, her hands clasped behind her back. The black-clad woman was beautiful, yet cold. Her eyes were piercing, her raven hair long and free, and it was like she radiated chill from her very person. Although she was walking behind the female cultivator, no one would mistake her for a subordinate. These were the same two they'd seen outside the abandoned inn at noon. Oh my... Windmaster and her goth queen! At that time, they had passed by too fast, and Shalian couldn't make out the details of the lady in black, but he now saw clearly that she was indeed a woman. Clearly, all right! If the one in white was the state preceptor of Banyue, who was the one in black? The state preceptor swished her whisk leisurely and spoke. Now, where did they go? We were careless for one moment, and they all disappeared. Do I have to dig them out and kill them one by one? Just as Shalian thought, they were being watched from the moment... Just as Shalian thought, they were being watched from the moment they stepped foot into the city. The lady in black approached and stoically said, You can call your friends to help you kill them. By friends, she must have meant the soldiers of Banyue. The state preceptor of Banyue laughed. Ha! I don't like calling other people. I like calling you. Aren't you glad? The lady in black ignored her completely and said coolly, There's nothing agreeable about being called out by the likes of you for something like this. Just go. Okay, so maybe it's a little one-sided. Also, I'm like, what friends was the one in black referring to? Because we don't know of any other friends that Windmaster has, right? I mean, we know Windmaster is friends with everybody, but it was for the sake of the next line, I think. But oh my god. There's nothing agreeable about being called out by the likes of you for something like this. Just go. The state preceptor of Banue arched her brows, but still sped away. Listening to them, it sounded as if they were close. Just... They were no ordinary folk, so the lady in black must be someone of renown. Someone who would be close to the state preceptor of Banue. A mysterious fellow cultivator? Or was there a queen or general they didn't know about? Shalian was trying to connect the dots rapidly in his mind, but he held his breath. Now wasn't the time to be discovered. It looked like the state preceptor had an unpredictable personality. If she should find them and excitedly summon her legendary 3-meter-tall mace-wielding Banue soldiers, more time would be wasted fighting them. 24 hours. 1 hour wasted was another hour they'd sink deeper into danger. But there was no helping his bad luck. Whatever he didn't want to happen would always happen. The lady in black was passing the house Shalian hid in, but stopped mid-step, and her piercing gaze swept over the decayed shelter. The state preceptor of Banue was already further ahead, but she noticed that her companion had stopped and came back around. Hey, are you coming? The lady in black didn't look at her. You, step back. All right, the state preceptor responded obediently and actually retreated. The lady in black was about to raise her hand when suddenly a loud rumble blasted from across the street. God. She's so fucking rude. On the other side, the house Nanfeng and Ajao had hidden in had collapsed. The crumbling of one house led the entire row to cave in. Dust and sand rolled into the air and clouded the whole street. Within that cloud, a black shadow leapt out and shot a streaming flame towards the state preceptor. But the lady in black rushed forward and shielded her from harm. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh. With her left hand still behind her, she flipped her right palm and easily absorbed the flames before reflecting them right back. Ooh, how sexy, one-handed. The black shadow parried her while escaping and soon disappeared. The state preceptor immediately chased after that shadow, but the lady in black gave the house behind her another sweeping look before following. Bless you, Nanfeng, Shalian thanked mentally. Everything happened so quickly, but Nanfeng had no doubt known somehow that they were about to be in trouble and created a diversion to lead their enemies away. He was the only one who leapt out, so Ajao must still be inside the collapsed house. After making sure the state preceptor and the lady in black were indeed gone, Shalian dragged Sanlong out of their hiding spot and called out, Ajao, are you still alive? Are you hurt anywhere? A moment later, a muffled voice came from under the ruins. I'm fine. Shalian was relieved. Thank goodness. Although Shalian trusted Nanfeng's ability to control the crash and that he would no doubt leave enough space for Ajao to stay safe, it was still more reassuring to see it with his own eyes. He raised one of the rotten beams with one hand, and after a moment, Ajao emerged from underneath, covered in dust from head to toe. He brushed himself off a bit and returned to his stoic expression. Now, there are only 3 of us left, Shalian said. Nanfeng is creating a diversion, so we must move fast. Do you know where we can find the Shanwei fern, Ajao? Ajao? The young man shook his head and said, Sorry, I only know where the city is, but I've never been here before, so I don't know where the fern can be found. Sanlong spoke up. Oh my god, how long is this freaking chapter? 1, 2, 3, 4... Okay, one sec, I just need to inquire about dinner. Sanlong spoke up. They say the Shan Yue fern prefers shade. It is small, its roots thin, but its leaves are big, like a heart-shaped peach. Why not search near a large building? A large building, Shalian contemplated. If they were talking big, there was no building larger than the palace. In the legend, it was after the festivities that the queen picked a Shanwei leaf, which could mean the fern grew on the palace grounds. The three moved their gazes afar, and in the center of the city there was indeed a palace built of brick and wood. From a distance, the palace had a grandiose aura, but upon a closer look, it was not much better shape than the dilapidated houses on the streets. Through the palace gates, there was a massive garden. Perhaps in the past it wasn't a garden, but a palace square. With years of neglect, weeds had flourished and spread. Indeed, it wasn't sand beneath their feet now, but mud. This was most likely the last sign of the oasis that once was. And the Shanwei fern could very well be growing among all the other plants. Let's not waste time, Shalian said. We only have 24 hours, but keep an eye out for scorpion snakes. Ajiao and Sanlong both hummed in acknowledgement and lowered their heads to start searching through the plants. As they rummaged, it suddenly occurred to Shalian that if the state preceptor of Banyue could control scorpion snakes, there shouldn't be an abundance of them slithering about in her territory. Ever since they entered the city, they had not seen a single snake. Oh, there should be an abundance of them. Yeah, so it's like, why aren't there more snakes here? If snakes are her thing. He straightened up and was about to speak when one of his hands fell on a long object. Oh, God. Looking down, he found that it was a human leg. Wah! Shalian withdrew his hand and was struck speechless. It occurred to him that every time he was faced with some horrifying incident or saw or touched anything frightening in the dark, it was always the other party who would scream before he could say anything. But shouldn't it be the other way around? The plants in the garden were tall and thick, and whoever's leg Shalian had touched was someone who had already been hiding and crawling in the weeds. The moment they touched, the leg recoiled, and the weeds in front of him rustled. Someone called out, "Don't hit me! Don't hit me! Gaga, it's me!" Shalian scrutinized the wild grass and saw that the one who emerged crying, "Don't hit me," was thick-browed, large-eyed Qian Sheng. The boy in turn saw that Shalian recognized him and sighed a breath of relief. Shalian, on the other hand, wasn't relieved. Rather, he became even more alarmed and raised his good arm in a defensive stance. In circumstances like these, it was more likely that this was an illusion created by something evil. "Weren't you with the others back in the desert? How are you here? Are you really Qian Sheng?" Qian Sheng explained hurriedly. "It's me! I'm the real thing! I'm not the only one! 3 other uncles also came. They're just inside. Look if you don't believe me." He pointed toward the inside of the palace, and sure enough, 3 men came running out. They were indeed the men from the caravan. When they saw Shalian, they froze in their dash and looked awkward. Shalian puffed out a breath before finally rising to his feet and dusting off white sleeves. "What's going on?" The merchants looked at each other and no one made any noise. It was Qian Sheng who spoke up after an awkward silence. "Gaga, after you guys left, Uncle Zheng's pain flared up and he was really miserable. We didn't know how much longer we should wait for you to return, and we were afraid that you guys might have gotten lost. Ajiao Ge said to go straight to get to the kingdom of Banyue, so we thought the more hands to help the better, So what he really meant was that the merchants regretted letting them go after all. They were afraid that Shalian and company would rob them of their guide after finding the Shanwei fern for themselves, so they sent people to come follow them. Shalian imagined that Fu Yao couldn't persuade them otherwise and was probably also too lazy to hold them back. It was impossible to stop stubborn people who refused to listen to reason. Shalian felt rather exasperated. "You're all too reckless. Who knows what there might be and what might happen in a place like this, and you still came?" Qian Sheng himself knew that what they'd done made it obvious they didn't trust Shalian, and he felt bad. This was why he didn't make a sound while hiding in the weeds earlier, as awkward as it was. "Sorry, this concerns a man's life, so we couldn't sit still." No matter. This was a life-or-death situation, and to be wary was entirely natural. To go so far into danger for an antidote also proved that they were worthy companions. Shalian couldn't continue to scold them for this and sighed. "If you didn't bump into anything weird when entering the territory, then it's your good fortune. But how do you know to come to the palace to search for the Shanwei fern?" Qian Shun scratched his head and replied, "We didn't know where to start, but in the story the red-clothed Gaga told, it was the queen who picked the leaves, right? The queen couldn't possibly leave the palace grounds, so I thought we'd come here and try our luck." Well, this child's mind could certainly spin, and it spun right on target, Shalian thought. Just then, Sanlong spoke up from the side. "I found it." Shalian turned to see Sanlong striding with his long, lithe legs towards him. In his hands were a few turquoise-colored leaves, with roots still attached at the stems. The leaves were about the size of a baby's palm and in the shape of a peach's, slightly pointy at the ends, with tiny, thin roots. Even without Ajao to confirm, Shalian knew without a doubt that this must be the Shanwei fern. Without waiting for Shalian to say a word, Sanlong grabbed his wounded hand and lifted it. The hand that was stung was originally frighteningly swollen, but after Sanlong sucked the poison from the wound, the swelling had gone down significantly despite it not being fully cleared of the venom. With Shalian's wrist in one hand and the Shanwei fern in the other, Sanlong closed his palm on the plant. After only a second, he reopened his palm, and the fern was crushed into powder without him appearing to exert any force. Sanlong gently but firmly rubbed the powder onto Shalian's hand, and he could feel coolness and relief stinging on his skin. "Thanks, Sanlong," Shalian said. Sanlong didn't respond, however, and after applying the powder, he let go of Shalian's hand. Shalian couldn't help but think that the air between the two of them now was really strange, but he didn't know how to ask about it without sounding odd. This wasn't something anyone else would notice either, or something they could possibly understand. "Gaga, are you feeling better? Is the herb working?" Tiansheng asked anxiously. Shalian snapped out of it and replied, "Much better. It should be the right herb." Hearing this, everyone became excited. "Hurry, let's find more!" Sanlong he's pouting because Shalian got hurt, Soon, Ajao also raised a handful of leaves, crying out, "There's more here!" The Shanwei leaves in Ajao's hands were much bigger and fuller than the small, pitiful ones Sanlong used earlier, but the shape and markings were all correct, so everyone crowded over and happily exclaimed, "There's an entire field here! So many! Pick lots, let's pick a bunch. Do you think we can sell this?" Noisily, the merchants busied themselves picking the herbs. Shalian turned his head to examine his hand for a moment, then tried to start a conversation with Sanlong. "You also searched the same area they're in now, right? Didn't you find any there?" It was obvious Shalian was trying to force a conversation, and after asking the question, he felt that he was rather pathetic, but Sanlong shook his head. "You shouldn't use the ferns over there." "Why?" Shalian wondered curiously. Before Sanlong could answer, they heard someone scream, "Go away!" Everyone stopped, their movements halting. "Who said that? Who's screaming? It wasn't me. It wasn't me either." Then they heard that sharp voice again. "Go away! You're stepping on me!" This part's so gross. Only then did the group notice. The voice came from near their feet. In a flash, the crowd retreated from that field of ferns. Seeing this, Shalian walked over. He was used to being the one in the lead when it came to these things. He approached the bush where the shrieking had come from and stripped away the thick weeds. Everyone's breathing hitched. Under the weeds, in the mud, there was a man's face. In this field, there was an unbelievably alive human being buried in the mud with only his face showing above the surface. It was a nightmarish sight, truly incomparably creepy. A couple of merchants screamed in fright, holding on to each other. Shalian once again comforted them in a skilled and practiced manner. "Don't panic. Everyone calm down. It's only a face. Nothing extraordinary. We all have faces, no?" That face chuckled. "Oh, did I scare you? Ha ha! I frequently scare myself, too." After reassuring the others, Shalian half crouched and examined this face in the mud. It was a man's face, quite flat when he wasn't smiling, but extremely wrinkled when he was. Shalian couldn't tell whether he was old or young, and couldn't say whether he was handsome or not. He couldn't make out much of the face at all, so he simply asked directly, "Who are you?" The face in the mud asked back, "Who are you?" "We're merchants passing through," Shalian replied. The mud face breathed a long sigh. "Merchant passers-by. I used to be a part of a caravan too, but that was 50, maybe 60 years ago." The situation got freakier. Was a man buried in the grounds of an old city ruin for 50 or 60 years still a human? Never finished story. Thank you for donating. I would read MXTX full-on horror any day. Yeah. Her horror writing is really freaking freaky. One of the merchants shakily asked in trepidation, Then how did a senior like yourself get here?" The mud face cleared his throat and screwed up his face. I was captured by the Banyue soldiers. I accidentally entered the city. They caught me and buried me here and made me the fertilizer for their Shanwei ferns." No wonder the herbs in their hands were big and full. They were fed with live humans. The merchants immediately dropped all the plants in their hands, feeling as though they were touching corpses. Shalian couldn't help but glance at his hand too, but heard Sanlong say, "That one was fine." No wonder that, even though Sanlong had looked through that field earlier, he left to pick a small, almost withered fern from elsewhere. He probably saw what was in the soil and guessed that the herbs were grown with human fertilizer, so he ignored the lot completely and turned around and walked away until he found normally grown herbs in a remote area that was clean of corruption. How sweet! Only after finding those herbs did he apply them to Shalian's hand. Sanlong was considerate and careful. Thank you, truly, Shalian said. Sanlong nodded his head, but his face was still gloomy. Ever since Shalian was stung by the scorpion snake, Sanlong had behaved like this. A couple of days ago it was all Gaga this, Gaga that, but now he hardly called him Gaga anymore. Other than sucking poison and applying herbs, Sanlong seemed to be avoiding bodily contact with him as much as possible, and this thoroughly puzzled Shalian. Shalian couldn't grasp what he was thinking, and it was making him feel unsettled. Just then, the mud face began to speak again. "I haven't seen real people in so many years. Can you come closer and let me see you all properly?" The merchants all looked at each other, everyone thinking they'd best not do what he asked. After a while, seeing no one stepped forward, the mud face muttered, What? You don't want to? Ha! What a shame." "Why is it a shame?" Shalian turned and asked. "There's something that's been bothering me ever since you all arrived," the mud face said. "So I wanted to confirm with my own 2 eyes, which is why I asked you to stand closer for me to see. I want to see each and every one of you clearly to make sure." "To make sure of what?" Shalian pressed. The mud face cackled. "Don't be scared if I tell you. There's someone among you I've met before, 50 years ago." Hair raised on everyone's necks at that statement. If someone met this mud-face 50 years ago, they'd be at least 60 or 70 by now, but among the people present, the oldest definitely didn't look older than 40, so how was that possible? Unless that person wasn't really a person. Shalian gave a sweeping look across everyone's faces, from Ajiao to Qianxiang. Some were in shock, some stricken with fear, some shaking with anxiety, some speechless and confused. Everyone's reaction was normal and within reason. If one had to pick the odd one out, it'd be Sanlong, but for him, no reaction was probably the normal reaction. Shalian turned back to the mud face. "Who is the person you speak of?" The facial muscles of that mud face twitched, and it gave an exceedingly freaky smile, as if it was giving its all to make itself look more reliable, but it couldn't fully conceal the sinister smirk hiding beneath. He beckoned mysteriously. "You, come closer and I'll tell you." Shalian believed him 80% the first time that Mudface asked, but after this, only 50%. Who knew if this monster was only luring them closer to commit some evil deed? Of course Shalian wouldn't listen to him. He got to his feet and was about to walk away when the Mudface raised his voice. Do you really not want to know who it is? He will kill all of you, the same way he killed us." Ooh. And that's the end of the chapter. Wasn't that good? What could it be? Oh, I forgot just how mopey Sanlong is after, it's like he let Shalian get hurt, you know? It's like he probably promised to himself he would never want Shalian to get hurt now that he was with him, and then that happened. And even though Shalian's totally fine, even hearing Shalian say, oh, I don't feel pain, maybe that also made him really, really sad too. Oh, he's just so sad. Oh, I love it. And I also love that Shalian is also picking up on, what happened to my fun little guy? What happened to my fun little guy that calls me Gaga? I want to talk to him. I miss him. Shalian specifically got hurt saving him, too. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Ugh. So good. So good. Hey, Esper lady. I've been seeing you in the chat, but I always like saying hi to you. Visual J says, it's understandable, though. He wants to make a good first impression after meeting him after so many years. It's true. It's true. Amelia Pond says, Hualien is immediately down bad for each other. I love them. I love them, too. Kate says it's a sin to not say hi to the Esper lady. In the sinner's pit. Oh, this is so good. I feel like I'm having, a mixture of, picturing the Donghua in my mind, but also, my own original imagination, because some of the descriptions are, a little bit different, you know? Galactic Moon said, bro, who is spamming hearts with me? I need to know my secret friend. Aw, that's so sweet. Thank you for the hearts. Spark Major says, me and my homies in the sinner's pit. Okay, guys, I can smell dinner, and I'm so hungry, so I'm gonna go. But I will see you guys tomorrow at the same time, right? 5 o'clock? 5 o'clock tomorrow? And we'll find out who is the one that will get us all killed. Okay. See you guys tomorrow. I love you guys. Thank you for coming to hang out. And I hope you have a good evening. Bye.